Buenas, buenas, mi gente. Welcome back. Bienvenidos to a new episode of Hablamos Spanglish. I am your host, Ana Carolina Salazar, and with this episode, we mark the beginning of our third season. Sí, nuestra tercera temporada with an exceptional guest and a friend of mine, Jennifer Evins, CEO of United Arts of Central Florida. In this episode, we will listen to a story beyond the arts. Jennifer's journey began with a marketing and public relations degree, but changed course after a life-altering volunteer experience. Join us as we unveil the power of the arts and how diversity merges to impact the community. Discover the unity that comes from supporting Spanish-speaking artists and organizations. We will explore with laughter how cultural diversity has the power to forge friendship that become family. Want to know something interesting about Jennifer? She was an athlete. Yes, you will learn all about this and more in the next few minutes. Get ready for good laugh and good company. It's time for Hablamos Spanglish. Gracias, thank you for joining us for our third season of Hablamos Spanglish. We hope you enjoy our first episode. Welcome, Jennifer. Bienvenida a Hablamos Spanglish.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Anna. It's a privilege to be here with you and just to get to know each other better.
I'm so happy that we made it happen.
Yes. You know, you have to establish a goal and go for it, right?
Of course.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. So that Hablamos Spanglish was born because I wanted to inspire Hispanic immigrants, right? So at the beginning, it was more, it was in Spanish, right? But then I said, I also want my American community to learn more about our Hispanic community, how and why do we come to this incredible country that becomes our second home, but also to promote what organizations like, United Arts are doing for our Hispanic community.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm
we have
very
a lot
grateful.
to learn.
Yes.
We have so much to learn about each other and our cultures, the things we have in common, the things we enjoy together, whether it's music or dance or just learning, enjoying each other's different cultures of food. And so, yes, we have a lot to learn together for sure. And I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And before we start, talking about, United Arts and your role there, I want to learn, and I know our listeners want to learn more about you and your journey, and how did you get to Orlando and being the CEO of United Arts?
Well, just like anyone else that lives here, once you arrive here, you realize you want to live here because it is so beautiful. It's like a garden, and there's always a breeze. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then after college, I moved to South Carolina, and I went there for a temporary job assignment, spent my first winter there, and never went back to Indiana.
Oh, wow.
So, when people said, oh my gosh, you're moving to Florida, it's going to be so hot. Well, honestly, it's hotter in South Carolina because I lived up in the upstate in Spartanburg, and there wasn't an ocean breeze. Even though we're just an hour away, we still have a breeze every day. So it is gorgeous here. And to back up a little bit, I got involved in the arts as a volunteer. So as we talk through today and talk to the listeners about how to get involved in the arts, here I am, the president and CEO of one of the largest arts organizations in the country. And my knowledge of the arts, of course, started with my family and my love for the arts, but really came as a volunteer. So we can talk about that. But I came here for a job interview in April of 21. So just coming out of really still almost in the pandemic. And was here for 5 days. The interview process was for 2. And I thought, well, if I was a finalist, and which meant there were only 2 of us. And so if I was chosen, I better figure out where I'm going to live. So I spent 3 days, traveling around the city and trying to figure out where the offices were, just like anyone would do when they were going to figure out where they were going to live.
No.
And so I spent 5 days here and just fell in love with this community. And that was in April. And then was given the assignment, offered the job, and told my family and friends that I was going to be moving to Orlando, Florida, to Central Florida. And I did so in June, and it was the right time in my life. My children were grown and gone off to college, and one had already made her home in Colorado, and I really didn't have any family. My mother was there near me, but she could easily move to live near my brother. And she didn't want to move with me to Florida, which was disappointing. She regrets it now. But it was, I came here and it just felt right. The goodness of the arts, the people that I was involved with. And I didn't know a soul. I came here like many people do, not knowing anyone. And this community, just like your friendship, is so welcoming. And I think if you show up in Orlando, if you show up for things and you say yes, that you will have a very meaningful life here.
It is true. And that was our message at Bold last month. It was, if you show up to our community, we need to do that more often, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if someone is inviting you to something, they're intentional about that. Yeah. They want you to be a part of that and feel a sense of belonging, or to join the celebration, or to learn something, or for people to learn about you, right? Yeah. So, saying yes to when people invite you to things, or when there's something announced, whether it's a festival or anything, just show up.
Yeah. And Jennifer, you mentioned, I know this through our conversations, but you just mentioned that you became involved in arts by being a volunteer, that you didn't have any work experience on the arts prior to being a CEO. So can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I had a professional career in marketing and public relations. I worked in the waste systems. I worked for a waste company and sold industrial waste systems. I worked in architecture, and I worked in media and working in public affairs. But the whole time that I was working in this professional life, I also had a volunteer track where I wanted to give back to my community. And it was the arts that invited me first when I was in my 20s. Oh, wow. Now, I will tell you, so the interesting part of my art story is that I am not an artist. I don't have any professional training. I am creative. But through my life, I was an athlete. Okay. I played golf and tennis. I played basketball in college. So my personal youth development was through athletics. But my mother was a dancer in college, and my younger brother played the trumpet. And we always had arts in our family. So we would go to the museums, we would attend concerts, we would go to festivals. And so it was always a part of my life. It just wasn't part of my personal development as a child. And it wasn't because I wasn't creative. It just was because it wasn't my passion at the time.
Exactly.
But as a young person, I watched how even in public schools, as an athlete, I had everything that I needed. But my younger brother, who was a trumpeter and played in the jazz band and the marching band and the concert band, he had to raise money. The bands are selling grapefruit and candy bars to get their sheet music and their uniforms, their band. Well, why is it that his creative ability was less than my athletic ability? And I had everything that I needed. As an athlete, I had transportation, I had buses, I had uniforms, I had everything, but the band had to raise money. And so I've spent a lot of my life helping people know that being an athlete was an amazing part of my life, but there are so many people that are creative, and we need to make sure that they have the quote unquote arenas, the tools, the recognition, the pay, as much as athleticism has, and for it to be valued. So I was a volunteer for 15 years. I learned how to raise money. I learned how to get other people involved, and I really learned to really recognize the economic impact that the arts have on business, the educational impact that the arts have in helping children achieve their own success. So as I developed this knowledge in volunteerism about the arts and the value it is to having a great community, I started finding myself being an advocate and an ambassador and asking people for money. And over the years, learned and raised a lot of money for the local arts community in South Carolina where I lived. And one day, the man that actually hired me to sell office supplies when I was in my 20s was the chairman of the board of the local arts organization, like United Arts in Spartanburg, was the chair. And he said, Jennifer, we need your help, but we're going to pay you this time. So I came on as a senior development officer, and then 6 months later became an interim CEO, and then served as the CEO there for 11 years. And I kind of outgrew that job. Not kind of, I did. And I was ready to move on, and this job came open. So, that's one of the things that I want listeners to understand and to embrace, is that to be involved in the arts, especially on a board or on a committee, you don't have to be an artist. Matter of fact, we don't necessarily want everything to be artists, because the artists are making the art. They need lawyers and people that are passionate, marketing experts like yourself, people that have other skills that arts organizations need to be sustainable, to be strong. They're nonprofits, which means they cannot make a profit for the benefit of shareholders. But they can make money, and they need money to reinvest and have great art. So every nonprofit organization, and not just the arts, any nonprofit needs people that aren't necessarily experts in that field, but that are experts in other things. So that's why I got involved, because I had a marketing background, and the local Ballet Spartanburg needed someone who had a marketing background on their board. So that's I think that's the neat thing. And the arts are welcoming. So
definitely.
you don't have to have...
It unites people.
It does.
Different backgrounds,
Right.
different,
And I was in my 20s. I didn't have a lot of money to give, but I had a lot of time.
Exactly.
And so that's another thing to really remember, is that we all have gifts to give, and it's not always monetary or money.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's really important. It doesn't matter your background, your age, and I think arts, we are, like you said, we have arts around us all the time, right? And I think we realized how important art is for us in our community, in our lives, through the pandemic. When we saw, that, and I experienced it personally, how artists, were looking for a way to do their work in a virtual way, or I always experienced that art also, for my dad, for example, who is a musician, he will say, I do this because of my love for the arts, right? Because sometimes they don't get paid, or they just get paid a little bit. And it's incredible how you realize also at a very young age that you saw your brother in the band, and then yourself in the sports, that the difference, right?
The balance, absolutely. Well, and you think about how many professionals there are in this community that are creatives. People forget that graphic designers and people that are designing cars, and architects and engineers, people who are designing robots, they're creatives. They are in the creative industry. They are artists in their own right. They are designing. They're coming up with original thought, whether they're writers or even programmers for computers. Coders are creative people. So we're surrounded by creativity, and everybody has an art story. They may not be a professional artist or a trained person in any field, but if you enjoy cooking and gardening, if you like to draw or paint or do woodworking or metal or just piddle around on the drums, you're everyone has a creative ability inside of them. And that's what I love, is really seeing how the arts can build individuals in a healthy way, and then to build community for sure.
For sure. And now that you said this about building a community, when you came to Orlando, Orlando has grown tremendously, right? I've been here for 20 years, and now we are such a melting pot. We have people from diverse backgrounds, and I know through that the organization, that United Arts, supports many artists from independently from
all over the world.
all over. So what and how does United Arts supports the local arts, but also the different backgrounds of artists that are here?
At the core, art is about expressing someone's their culture, their communication. For thousands of years, humans have been creative. So to come to Orlando and to see the people that have come from all over the world and made this their home, and to have the opportunity to celebrate and share their cultures is a top priority of United Arts. So we do that in a number of ways. Number one, we fund some of these. We're sponsors. We provide grants for organizations that are working to celebrate and honor and educate people about their cultures. We also provide grants for festivals. We provide grants and marketing. So one of the things we have on our website, unitedarts.org, is a calendar of events. And any cultural organization or community that's having a public celebration and they want other people to know about it, they can list that event on our calendar. So we're helping organizations and cultural or people that are celebrating together, cultural groups, to promote so that people can connect. So that's one important way. The other way is that we are providing artist grants. So individual artists who have a practice in our community, and it can be any art form: visual, literary, performing arts, media arts, any art, culinary arts, horticulture arts. They're eligible if they have a practice. They are either living or working in Central Florida. And this we're talking about, we use the word Orlando, but we serve Lake County, Seminole County, Osceola, and Orange County. So those funds are up to $5,000. And it is a competitive process. What do you want to do with the funds? And you fill out a grant application. It's not very difficult. And we have a staff to help you. So one of the things we want people to know is that we're a trusted resource. Yes. So not just for people to donate to the arts, but for artists and organizations that want to include an arts component to what they're doing. So individual artists, we fund them. We also promote them through our artistry magazine.
That magazine is incredible, right?
Well, we feature especially diversity is very important. We want to reflect the community that we serve. So we include diverse artists in every issue. You can find it online on our website at unitedartscfl.org. But that magazine help local artists get in front of people. That they can either learn about their artwork, they can buy their work, or hire them as musicians, or ask them to help them write a book. So there are so many ways that we help individual artists be successful and to thrive. There are a lot of ways that we're working on not just our funding, but advocating. So was just on a panel nationally talking about the value of paying our professional artists, and we want to keep them here in Central Florida so they can make a living. And this entire creative industry sector includes the hospitality, the entertainment sector, and we've got to make sure, and we advocate for them to make a living wage, to have benefits, all of those things. We are fighting for artists, to be able to thrive here. And then, and in this last grant cycle, I think out of 26 artists, 27 were Spanish-speaking artists. Wow. So from all different nations. And it's really exciting to see that they're successful at doing that, and they live here, and that we can help support that. And then with organizations, we support many nonprofit Hispanic organizations, arts and cultural organizations, and history. So if you're a historical organization around a culture that is a Spanish-speaking culture, we do that as well. So, we're just a resource.
Yeah.
So whatever you're interested in, we also support non-arts nonprofits.
Okay.
So if there's a youth development organization or an organization that works with seniors or house, any nonprofit is eligible for our community project grants. So a lot of opportunity. The key thing is just to reach out to us and ask.
Okay. And you just mentioned how important is diversity for United Arts, right? And that you represent many artists, different backgrounds, nationalities, and that you have helped many. United Arts has helped many Hispanic artists. How do you think diversity enriches our community?
Oh, wow. Well, just like going back to that original question of how did you feel, when you first came to Orlando? Yeah. One of the most beautiful and peaceful experiences about living in Orlando is that there are so many different people here coming from different backgrounds with different experiences. And everyone is so kind to one another. And I've experienced that. I live downtown in the city, so it's a urban setting with an intense lot of people not only living here but coming to visit. And what I think is really important at the end of the day is if diverse people are not included in the decision making, then we will not have an equitable and kind and just world. And the arts are a really easy way to break down barriers, to help people recognize their commonalities versus everything that makes us different or we disagree. Who disagrees about music, right? Now you might not like the same kind of music, but I don't think, so the arts really bring diverse conversations. They break down barriers. They open doors for people. When you think about walking into a museum, you don't need an invitation. And so many of our museums have free opportunities. So economics can't, be a barrier, and transportation might be, which is one of our challenges in this community. But if we don't have culturally diverse expressions, whether it's in visual art or in performing arts, we won't connect to our neighbors. And that's our responsibility, is to make sure that as a local arts agency that we're encouraging everyone to be inclusive of different voices, different experiences, different cultures, and that creates a better understanding. Right? And it brings joy.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And it also can help us have civil discourse. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing in a peaceful way. And the arts can help make that happen. You could be standing in an art museum and looking at a painting. And somebody might walk up next to you and you might start a conversation. Oh, I love the color. What do you think about the color of this painting? And the person might say, well, that color reminds me of this about my family or my community. And all of a sudden, you're starting to have a conversation with somebody you didn't know, but you find out that you have things in common, right? Yeah. Because of that one single art painting or listening to music or even public art. It's amazing how just sculptures or murals that people are attracted to, and then they start talking to one another about it. So the arts are a critical catalyst for increasing civility and kindness and peace, but also celebrating the different cultures, which is one of the richest things about Central Florida.
And I love it, and I love all the initiatives and that's why one of the first things when we decided that we were going to do this podcast in English, I was like, I need to have Jennifer, because you have been such a champion in our Hispanic community. That's how we met. You're a member of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You were part of an incredible panel that's where we met, and I felt that connection immediately with you, and also because I have learned of all the initiatives that you have created, like for for example, that you mentioned, we need to get involved, and we can get involved and have different opinions and being part of a board, and get involved little by little. It can be with our time, with our money, with also by
expertise. For sure.
Expertise,
yes.
Exactly. So what's the ask that Jennifer has for the Hispanic community here in Central Florida?
Well, you just mentioned one of them. We developed last year. We heard a lot from the cultural organizations that they're seeking leaders, willing leaders to be on their boards of directors that have different experiences, that reflect different cultures. So on our website, I mentioned it a couple times, we have a diverse leadership pipeline where people that are interested in volunteering their time to serve on a board or a committee, there are 600 board positions, volunteer board positions in the arts in Central Florida. So there's a plenty of room. And as I mentioned, I started out as a board member in my 20s, so you don't have to be an expert in the arts. You just have to be willing to come and participate and be an advocate for the arts. So go on to our website and complete that application. And it lists all the organizations that you can get involved with. And so that's the first thing that I would say. The other thing that I think is really important for Hispanic leaders, business owners, philanthropists to know is that United Arts wants to be a trusted resource for you. So if you're looking for something to do, we have the cultural calendar on our website. If you're looking for a way to invest your charitable dollars in our community, we have a great way for you to help children, to help seniors, to help schools, to help anywhere you want to make a difference with the arts as that instrument. United Arts can help you with that locally. So all of our money stays local. And so get involved, give back, whether it's with your time or with your resources. We also have, companies that might want to sponsor things. If you want to get your brand in front of the arts audience, then let us know, because there's a lot of opportunity. But just know that we're local, that everything we do is about our local community, and we love celebrating it through the arts. So
was that, Jennifer, let's look at the future. So what's that goal or an aspiration that you have, as a president of United Arts here? What would you like to see in the future?
Every day I get up, and my purpose is to build community through the arts. And the best way to build community is to meet people where they are in their communities. So it's whether it's in a neighborhood or through a culture that is a community. And my goal is to make sure that within all of the communities that are here in Central Florida, they know that United Arts is a very easy place that they can go and learn about who's practicing their own culture here, where that's happening, where the music that they love and the dance that they love and the food where that's happening here, but also where they want to come and learn about other cultures. So my vision really is that we truly meet people where they are with the arts, and that everyone has access to the arts, because not everybody can get to the Dr. Phillips Center. Not everybody can get to a museum. And so our job is to really meet people where they are and make sure that they feel like the arts are part of their lives and that they can develop their own creative abilities.
I love it. I love it. And you count on me to be part of that and help you reach that goal. And the whole community here. And Jennifer, we're almost getting to a close.
I can tell. These closing questions.
I know. These are the closing questions. I have.
But it's gone really well, I think.
I know.
I'm having a good time.
And we have some margaritas that made Carolina.
It makes it a little easier.
Carolina from Hi Hello made us margaritas. She spoiled us here. But I want to ask you some questions that I ask everybody at the end.
Okay.
Just answer with the first thing that comes to mind.
All right.
So you mentioned, and I have seen you dance, right? So what's your favorite music?
I think anything with a drum beat, with a really great drum beat that's upbeat. I like all forms. I don't like really loud and hard rock and roll, so I'm not going to do that. But anything that gets me dancing, I think that's the best answer.
Okay.
Anything that gets me dancing.
And you're so fun.
Which doesn't take much.
I see Jennifer, your pictures that you post on social media, and like she goes to these events and she dressed up and the hats, and you're so fun. Like, aww. I'm going to get, Jennifer to invite me to these parties. And
I just really enjoy dancing. I'm moving, it's so healthy, and you meet people, and it's just great to feel a rhythm.
It's true.
And I love live music, so anything that's live is just the best.
Have you been to a Latin I don't know, concert?
Oh, well, this is my best story about coming to Orlando.
Okay.
So the Hispanic Chamber invited me to join a group going to Puerto Rico in October of 21. And we were a small group going with the chief of police, Orlando. And he was donating 7 police cars to the city of Ponce.
Okay.
And so we went as a small group, and I was going to visit the cultural institutions of Ponce. They invited me, and they had a beautiful reception. And the night of the art reception, the reception was over, and all the gallery was getting ready to close. It was an incredible exhibit of Ponce artists. And I heard a drum beat. Ooh. And I was with some other people that heard the drum beat too. So we walked into the club, or the cantina next door. Okay. And they had at least 10 maybe bombas. Is that what would you call them?
No, those drums? Are the planeros.
The planetos. Yeah. They were playing the planetos. There were vocalists behind them, and they were playing their hearts out, and everybody was watching them. And no one was on the dance floor. And I looked at my friend Anna, and I said, "Do you want to dance?" She said, "Absolutely." So we hit the dance floor, and I'm Caucasian. And we were the only white women, Caucasian women, non-Hispanic women dancing on the dance floor. And we just had the best time. Oh. So I just love anything that gets me dancing. Awesome. That's my new answer.
I know.
Because it's real.
That's what art does, right?
Yes, it does.
So what's your favorite sport?
Well, now I really enjoy golfing, and I like to play tennis. They're both very different. I hope I can stay healthy to play golf and tennis for a long time. But I also am somebody who loves to watch sports. So tonight I'm going to the opening game of the Orlando Magic. Of course, playing college basketball I just love live sports. And I don't really enjoy boxing. Because I really don't enjoy violence. I know it's a sport. But any baseball game, of course, football or anything like that, I love. And I'm talking about soccer.
Okay. Yeah, football.
The real football.
And the real football. Oh my gosh. Is there a place that you would like to travel that you haven't been to here, and maybe here in the US or Latin America?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have been to most of the European countries except for Spain. So I want to do that. I know. I want to go to Spain. And I've also never been to South America. So I've been to Mexico, to beautiful places in Mexico. In America, I haven't been to Maine. I've been to Boston, but I haven't been to Maine. So I'd like to go to Maine. But America, our world is full of amazing places. I'm interested in going to Vietnam and Cambodia. That looks beautiful. I like when I travel, I enjoy nature and learning about other people's culture. And you would think that the head of arts would all she was about museums. No. I can spend about 2 hours in a museum. And then I start working. In my mind, I'm like, we can do this. Right? So when I travel, I really enjoy the local culture, including great food and nature, and just being outdoors and enjoying the place and the people.
Awesome. Yeah. And now you mentioned food. So have you tried any Latin food?
Oh, of course. Well, you cannot not have Latin food in Orlando in Central Florida. I don't know what I could say my favorite is.
Well,
I'm really good with anything.
One that
food.
You have tried that it caught your attention.
Honestly, I don't know that I can pronounce it.
Okay.
So it's wrapped, and it has lots of vegetables in it, and maybe a pork.
Okay.
So it's a wrapped.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it
there
doesn't
might be
matter.
several
I know.
that are like that,
So,
right? Like, I don't know. Is it Mexican?
You know what? I love food.
Yeah.
And if somebody else is cooking it,
Yeah.
that's even better.
Yeah,
but I do love
food.
to cook. So I enjoy preparing meals for my friends and family. But wow, that is hard.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Paella. That's one thing I know how to make. So paella, I can
really?
say paella all day long.
Ooh,
It's
nice.
divine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know how to pronounce it. I hope I didn't mess it up.
No, you did it right.
Okay.
Well, and to conclude, what's the hope that you have for our community? We're living diversity and inclusion is an important topic, for our community right now. What's your wish, with regards to that?
People think of Orlando and Central Florida in a lot of ways. And right now, I think we can be a light of hope and peace for the world. Because there are so many people living here from diverse faiths, from ethnicity, from race, from just every walk of life. And I think we can be an example of love and peacefulness for the rest of the world. And we can do it one person at a time. It doesn't have to be a rally. It can be just me being kind to someone else that I don't know. And I think it starts with every person. And I would like to see just a force of goodness in this community, because we have had in our past hate and evil, and we've overcome that as a community. And I think being kind to one another is the beginning of that. And that's my hope for Central Florida, is that we become an international light of hope and peace, because we start with one-on-one, we're kind.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing your story, your experience, and thank you for all the wonderful things that you're doing for our community, for the arts. And I'm a fan, and that, like I mentioned, I hope this is the first one, the first time of many that you come to Hablamos Spanglish. And
thank you.
But thank you.
Well, God bless you, and God bless the listeners. We're very fortunate to live in a place where we can celebrate each other.
Yes.
So thank you for honoring me and our organization today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Muchísimas gracias, mi gente. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey of Hablamos Spanglish. It is a pleasure for me to explore the diverse stories and experiences within our vibrant Hispanic community. I hope that you have found inspiration, connection, and a deeper appreciation for our culture and heritage. Remember, our stories are what unite us and what make us stronger. Stay tuned for more captivating episodes in the future, and don't forget to follow us on social media and share your thoughts with us. Hasta pronto.